Hi everyone, it's Rachel from the Shades of Orange here to do my Booktubeathon wrap-up video. As of right now, which is Sunday afternoon, I've read a total of 6 books for the Booktubeathon. Technically, I could, squeeze in one more book just to get to the perfect 7. But you know what? I'm so happy with my progress. I'm completely happy with where I am in terms of my goals, and I'm just kind of calling it here. I'm tired of reading, honestly, and just want to take a break. So this is everything I've read for the Booktubeathon. As I mentioned, it's 6 books, which is 3 novels and 3 graphic novels. And in terms of page count, I read over 1,200 pages, which is amazing. This has to be the best I've ever done at a readathon. And it's basically because I had holidays this week. Now, if you're interested in watching how my reading went, I did make 2 vlogs during the week that are just kind of casual about reading updates, sharing kind of things that I was eating, hanging out with my hedgehog, and just other things I got up to this week. So if you're interested in that, I'll link those videos down below. But otherwise, I'm just going to tell you what I read this week and my thoughts on them. I'm going to start by talking about the rereads. First book I read was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which of course is the 2nd book in the series. I absolutely love this book. In my opinion, it's one of the best plotted mysteries. I just feel like all the little details that J.K. Rowling put into it to piece together the story of what was going on was so well done, and I really appreciated that rereading it because you see all the hints along the way. I think it's one of the best in the series, easily one of my top 3 favorites. The other book I reread, of course, was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the 3rd book, and this was always my favorite growing up. I just loved Sirius Black. I always thought he was just scary and dangerous and dangerous and scary in a different way than Voldemort. I love some of the plot points that happen in this book. It's just so well done. Again, the mystery is really well pieced together and just so enjoyable, so love that one. Now, the last full-length novel I read this week was Complicit by Stephanie Kuehn. And this is a story where I'm going to try not to say too much. This is a YA psychological suspense. The basic premise is that the story is told from this teenage boy's perspective, and his older sister has just gotten out from juvie. She was arrested and convicted for setting a barn on fire, and this whole story revolves around something that the sister may or may not know, the own character's feeling of guilt. You get the impression that he knows more than he's letting on, and it's very much that kind of double-blind perspective. You don't know who to trust. The teenage boy himself is really interesting. He suffers from anxiety and panic attacks and blackouts, and he has this weird sensation where his limbs will go numb. There's a lot of really unique things going on. While reading this, I was completely hooked in. The story itself was absolutely compelling. I wanted to know what was happening. It was so confusing. It's one of those books that you really don't know what's happening until the end, where it all kind of comes together. And so I had no idea what was going on, but was really enjoying it. The read itself was enjoyable. However, when we finally got to the end, and I don't want to say too much, but I felt a little bit underwhelmed by how the story came together, so I can't give this a rave review. It ended up being about 3.5 stars for me. Enjoyable, but don't have too high of expectations if you're going to pick this one up. Maybe it was because it was YA, but it just felt a little bit more surface level, and I just kind of wanted it to dig deeper and really have a wow ending. But still, good read if you're thinking about picking it up. I also read 3 graphic novels this week, the first being Miss Marvel by Wilson and Alphona. This book is basically the story of kind of a reinvention of Miss Marvel, with Miss Marvel being the identity of a young teenage Muslim girl. I feel like this book got so much hype around Booktube. And the biggest thing was the fact that it was really showing a diverse superhero, and I do like that they tried to do that, but maybe it was just me, and I'm Christian, so I don't have that kind of insider perspective. But it felt like it was kind of a negative take on the Muslim faith. I felt like there was a lot of stereotypes written into this book, and I'd be curious to know, what the experience would be like reading this as a Muslim person, if you would identify with this book or find it slightly offensive. But the story itself was really good. It definitely is targeted at more of a teenage audience. A lot of this book is about kind of coming of age and finding yourself and just, finding your identity, your voice. The artwork itself is great. It's all full color, and I just thought it was, really stunning looking. So the artwork itself was good. Still not a bad story. I'm not a huge superhero fan. It was good. It just wasn't the amazing 5-star read that everyone else experienced, but depending on how much you like superhero novels or superhero comics, this one might be still worth picking up. So I'll let you decide that. After that, I read Chew by John Layman and Rob Guillory. And this is a book all about a detective who has a strange ability where he can basically experience the history of whatever he's eating. So if he's eating an apple, he knows what tree it was picked from. If he eats meat, he knows how it was butchered. And he basically uses this ability to solve crimes. So as people will explain, he basically is tasting parts of dead people in order to find out the history. And whenever anyone has pitched this book, they've said the premise like that, and then they've said, but don't worry, it's not that gross. Well, I'm probably more sensitive to gross stuff than other people, but I found this book super gross. I could not eat when I was reading this. I just found it really gross, especially in graphic novel form when you're really getting to see it. It's like watching a movie, and I cannot do horror. I watched Breaking Bad because the plot was so good, but I got sick during that bathtub scene. If you watched it, you know what I mean. I'm someone who, they showed a smoking video in high school where they showed a lung of a smoker, and I was like fainting, had to get out of the class. So if you're sensitive to gross material like myself, this may not be the book for you. I can still see why people like it. It's very well done. The artwork is very unique and really matches that kind of like hard-boiled crime noir style of the book. It's very funny in kind of a quirky way, but for me, I don't know, I found it so gross and it just didn't really click with me, but I know a lot of people love this one, so if it's still one you're interested in, don't shy away from it on my recommendation. It wasn't for me, but it definitely is for other people. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Now, the last graphic novel I read this month was Mystery Society by Steve Niles and Fiona Staples. Honestly, I just picked this one up because of the name Fiona Staples. I love her illustrations in Saga and was just really excited to read anything else that she had done. And if you like the artwork in Saga, I think you'll definitely like the artwork in this one. It's very similar. The only difference is the tones are a little bit more muted. There's a lot of bright colors in Saga, while this is kind of all those kind of gray tones. But otherwise, the people are drawn in a very similar way, and I just really enjoy her style. So that alone is probably worth reading this, just because I love Staples' artwork. I could look at it all day and just thought it was phenomenal. The premise of the story is this very sexy hot couple basically come into some money and use that wealth to start this mystery society where they solve literary crime, and they kind of go on like heists and uncover government plots. The premise is so cool, and admittedly the first chapter completely hooked me in. I was dying to finish reading this book after reading the first section. I just thought it was so well done. I was completely pulled in. I thought I was going to love this book. And then the writing kind of slowed down for me. I just felt it was a little bit underwhelming. It wasn't as funny as I thought it would be. It wasn't as witty, and just the plot wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. Admittedly, because I was reading Fiona Staples, I feel like I was probably comparing Steve Niles to Brian K. Vaughan, which probably isn't a fair comparison because Brian K. Vaughan is basically the king of graphic novels, but it just fell a little bit flat for me. Ended up giving this about 3.5 stars. Still, again, it might be worth reading. It's up to you, depending on how interested you are in this graphic novel. So those are the 6 books I read during the Booktubeathon. I consider this readathon to be an absolute success. I'm so happy with my own reading progress. Please let me know, how did your week go? What was your favorite book that you read? If you have any comments, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye.